Hello, welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, you can send questions and comments to our Facebook event page for episode 259. Mark Masters. Or if you're watching us live, as I know a growing number of you do, come and chat alongside us live with the YouTube chat running alongside the show. So good evening. My name is John Ruark. I'm a past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. And who do we have next for introductions? It is the one, the only, Robert Johnson.
Well, hello. Robert Johnson here, past master Joaquin Lodge 78. Current sitting secretary, Space Novum Lodge 1183 UD, and host of Whence Came You. Thanks, John.
I saw they have a Robert Johnson documentary on Netflix now.
Yeah, it's all about how Robert Johnson at 27 sold his soul to the devil, right? The return of Saturn, your first return, yada, yada, yada. Died at 27 or something, you know. A lot of parallels there. The 27, Saturn return, the trial of man.
Check it out. Cool.
Everything I said, just forget. Like you're probably not ready for that stuff.
But your kids are gonna love it. Next up, Mike the intern. How's it going, Mike?
Hey, Mike the intern here. Mike Hambrecht of the Triandria Lodge number 780 and Lakeshore Lodge number 307. Triandria is still where I am the junior deacon and lodge education officer. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, good evening. And last but not least, for now, Juan Sepulveda.
Hello, everyone. Juan Sepulveda here from Orange Blossom Lodge number 80 in sunny Kissimmee, Florida, and the host of the Winding Stairs Freemasonry podcast with amazing announcement in a couple of weeks.
Oh, you're just leading us on. I like showmanship.
Oh, man, I can't wait.
I don't know what it is, but I want one. So tonight, Jason Richards is off enjoying his birthday. So if you get a chance, make sure you give a shout out to Jason Richards if you can find him. Tonight, also one last thing, I want to give a shout out again to all of our Patreons who've been supporting the show. If you want to help out the show more than just joining us every week, you can go over to patreon.com/the Masonic Roundtable and chip in a few bucks to help keep our show going. We were just talking in the green room about some other upgrades we're going to do very soon. So thanks again for your support. This week, we're talking about Mark Master Lodges, the Mark Master degree, Mark Master regalia, whatever you want. But it's all Mark Master related tonight. And so we were going to do this 2 weeks ago, had some people sick and out. So we're back. And I want to hand it over to Hammy for his research that he's done to kind of kick things off. So, Mike, take it away.
Okay. So, Mark Master Lodges, basically, just to give it a quick thing, Mark Master is the first degree of the Royal Arch, which in some jurisdictions, like the UK, have a Grand Lodge of Mark Master Masons, which typically opens and work only in the Mark Master Masons degree. In the UK, they also work the Arc Mariner in those lodges, which in the US is part of the AMD, but there it's part of their Mark Masters Masons Lodge. And after doing some more digging, I found that several states in the United States actually have separate Mark Lodges, but that work under the authority of their Grand Chapter of Royal Arch Masons, or Holy Royal Arch Chapter of Grand, however they pronounce that one.
That's going to be interesting to dig into tonight, too.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the differences there.
Yeah. And so Ohio has some, PA has some, New Jersey and Utah. PA has 7 Mark Lodges in the state of Pennsylvania, and they can't, from what I found from their constitutions, they can't be any closer than 50 miles. So in other words, if they want to make one, it takes 20 Royal Arch Masons to sign up and they can have one. but it has to be further than 50 miles away from another one.
Interesting.
Yep. And now the sad part is, though, there's one in Pittsburgh, and the guys that I was talking to in PA about this said that one is mostly considered a knife and fork lodge. So how much work they really do there.
It's a knife and fork lodge.
Yeah.
What's
that?
What is a knife and fork lodge?
Mainly it would be that they, in my guess on this one, they might even actually have table lodges, but mainly they eat.
They're there for a good time. Got
it. Utah has 2 Mark Master Mason lodges, and I know the first one was founded back in 2010 because that was on Christopher Hodap's Freemasonry for Dummies blog. He had an article about them getting it and the big deal it was. And there, what's interesting about theirs, you have to be a Royal Arch Mason to be an officer, but not to join. So that you just have to be a Master Mason, and you can join their Mark Master Lodge and get your Mark Master degree and go, but you can't go through the line unless you've gone and joined a chapter and become a Royal Arch Mason. So, and I'll tell you why that's interesting once we get further along here on some of these, but New Jersey, they have it also, but theirs are invitation only. And they have 2. And again, there you have to be a Royal Arch Mason there to not only to be an officer, but to join anyway. You can't be a Master Mason and then just get your Mark Master there. So, I mean, that it makes it almost, to me, it almost makes it, well, why would you work the degree there then at all? But I'm not sure they're working, so that maybe they kind of bring guys in who are Royal Arch, in a Royal Arch chapter to do the degree or whatnot. So, but that's what the guys on Facebook were telling me, is that they have to be Royal Arch Masons to join at all, and that they have to be invited to join.
Yeah, and that's interesting because that, depending on your jurisdiction, that sounds more like it's either an invitational body or a supper club or something else other than rather a wholly owned part of a system of degrees.
Yeah.
So while it's owned under a constituted, grand chapter or something like that, it's considered kind of a spin-off.
Yeah. And honestly, I couldn't find it, because a lot of the sites I go to, I can find their constitutions or whatnot. Theirs, I couldn't find anything. So, and I didn't dig as deeply as I possibly could, but it's not in all their regular downloads. And they're one of those states that, and I'm not complaining about this, it's just when you go to their website for their chapter, it's the Grand York Rite website. So it actually has all 4 bodies and more likely just a single petition to join all 4 and things like that.
It's interesting though, like when I think about this, obviously went through the Royal Arch, I'm a Mark Master. And then we think that somehow we've maintained this kind of antiquated idea that this kind of separation. I wonder, we talk with Joe Wade just probably has something to say about like Scott's master degree, or maybe some kind of a weird tie-in, why there's an actual lodge of Mark Masons. It just feels weird to me that what we do, like we love to create these offshoots or bring back these things and dangle them like they're carrot on a stick for a lot of guys. And yet it's just a supper club, like, most SRICA chapters, all of that. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? There's a couple states that had gone to war almost literally over people creating additional bodies of these invitational only, because those invitational onlys are now only doing supper club. They're not practicing any of the quote unquote work. So it's concerning to me. Like whenever I hear, like, if you're going to have a Mark Masters Lodge, I think you should just be able to petition that. Like, I'm not sure why that would be held out as any kind of
right.
good old boys club. But
Oh yeah.
that's just my opinion off the
Oh,
top.
Yeah,
Off the
no,
top.
when I heard that, I was shocked. I was like, invitational. Well, okay,
I mean,
if that's
because
what you
right,
want to do,
if you join the York Rite, you already
Mhm.
go through the degrees. What's the big deal?
Well,
right?
and that's the thing, is it blew my mind that jurisdictionally that's not the same, because all of us have received the Mark Master degree on this show, and in Virginia we've had Don McAndrews on talking about a Royal Arch side of York Rite Masonry, and in Virginia in particular, that the Mark Master is the first degree that you get on your way to get to the Royal Arch degree.
Mhm.
And so it's really a foundational degree. It's the first light you get. It's the fourth degree of the York Rite journey, as it were.
And that's right. And even like with this, that's still how it works. I mean, uh, now I know there's some of these Mark lodges in Ontario also. I didn't get a lot about them, but I know there's at least 4, possibly 5 up there. But again, I didn't get anything about how they work them or anything. But knowing what I've known a little bit about the Ontario masonry, I would bet that those are actual working Mark Master lodges. Now, in Ohio, we have 4, and they are working Mark Master Mason lodges. And all of them, you can petition as a Master Mason to join there. You can get your Mark Master Mason degree in there, and you can go through the officer line in there and become Right Worshipful Master of a Mark Lodge without ever having gone to the Royal Arch.
No, Mike, that kind of makes sense though, right? Because
Yeah.
that's actually the more traditional form of what you would really consider this.
Right.
Also, I don't know, when I think about this, it brings up well, you know what? I don't want to derail too much. Go ahead.
Oh,
Sorry.
no, that's it. The only other thing I was really going to say about in Ohio, there's 3 that are open to any Master Mason. The 4th one, which is actually the one closest to me, is called a Senior D Malay Mark Lodge. And that's the only added caveat. You have to also be a Senior D Malay to join it.
That sounds elitist.
I would offer to, that's, yeah.
I'm just trolling. I'm just trolling.
No, it's a little, I mean, to me, when
it's
I found
it's
out,
like George Watt, it's like the lodge that John started. You got to be an alumni or something, right?
Really elitist.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, the college academy lodges, academic lodges, where you have to be a member of this or an alumni of this college. Yeah, that's a little elitist, but no, it was disappointing to hear that, because I would have joined the one that's nearby, just to be a part of it. Finding out it was Senior DMLA only, well, there's a little bit of that going on in our area anyway, and there's a lot of DMLA in our area. I'll admit that.
So, point of clarification.
Yeah.
You said that there's one that any Master Mason can join, but in order to be an officer, you have to be a Royal Arch Mason.
Yeah, that was in Utah.
Okay.
Utah, you could there are 2 Mark Master lodges. You could join as a Master Mason, but in order to get in the officers line, you have to be a Royal Arch Mason, which means you have to have gone through a chapter.
So you progress no further than Mark Master?
Right, unless of course, I mean, and what the point is, then you join a chapter to get your other degrees and come back and be an officer there if you want to.
Yeah, interesting.
So with those lodges, I'm just curious, like with a lot of these pop-ups,
Yeah.
Whether that's SIOTs or you see a lot on the East Coast. They're here in Illinois, but it's very sparse. But man, when you get to the East Coast, it's huge. The Grotto, like they all kind of have their leading pitch thing. We're about supporting deaf children, or we have this program or this program. Does Mark Master Masonry have like some sort of tie-in charity that that's like kind of thrown out there?
No,
Oh, and because it always seems like that's the next question.
yeah.
Oh, what are the dues? What's your charity? Like,
Yeah,
it's part
at
of the
least as
questioning.
far, I mean, in Ohio, I would tell you that they would be the Adopt America, because that's actually part of the Grand Chapter thing. But I don't know that they do or don't have anything separate, because they are, they're under the authority of the Grand Chapter of Royal Arch Masons of Ohio. So they don't have their own, like in England, there is a Grand Lodge of Mark Master Masons, which is separate. Now, over there, though, you can join Royal Arch over there and go through your Mark Master just as well. But they have this one that is of Wales, and let me think here. I got it right here. It's the Grand Lodge of Mark Master Masons of England and Wales, and its districts and lodges overseas. And I'm sure I could probably dig, and I'd probably find there's some really great places where their lodges overseas are. But here in Ohio, it's all under the Grand Chapter of Royal Arch Masons. And so they get their charter. Anybody can join them. You get your Mark Master degree there. You could even go through the line in that as that, but once you go to Royal Arch, you're still not, you're not going to get that past high priest until you become a past high priest. I mean, so even though you went through those chairs, it's a separate thing.
So,
sorry, I'll throw one caveat in that too, by the way. If you're also in a Royal Arch chapter and you're going through the chairs in the Mark Master Lodge, you cannot be the Right Worshipful Master of that and be either a scribe, king, or high priest of a chapter. Can't be any of the top 3 chairs in that chapter at the same time. It's just to,
just to not burn people out, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. So, but it's, it actually applies to the same rule that we actually have, that you can't be a high priest of 2 chapters at the same time anyway. So they're kind of playing off on that. So
now I'm curious, considering like in the Blue Lodge, for example, you have the 3 craft degrees.
Mhm.
And we know that the lessons within each one of those degrees is enough to keep you busy for the rest of your life if your intention is to put it to practice, right? Just playing devil's advocate, how much meat is there in the Mark Master degree in order to justify one
degree, one lodge?
Yeah, one standalone building and line and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot there in that. I mean, because you learn. I'm not going to give away all the details, but you learn how to receive your pay. You're going to learn about the keystone. You learn about its meaning and so forth in that degree. You also learn some more working tools in that degree, and how to use those. And, I mean, there's quite a bit there to go on, just in the Mark degree alone. So yes, there's a lot you can build on. And I mean, and presumably if you're doing just that ritual, in just that lodge, yeah, I think that that people be doing that would be some of the best ritualists in the Mark degree. That would be my presumption anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Here's a short summary from at least the Grand Chapter of Royal Arch Masons in Virginia for the Mark Master degree. So this is all on the web. A degree that emphasizes the lessons of regularity, discipline, and integrity. It is a most impressive degree centered on the story of the fellow crafts of the quarry and their role in the building of the temple. Its importance in English craft masonry can be judged by the fact that it operates as a separate Grand Lodge. We talked about that. And it is highly sought by members of the craft in that jurisdiction. So, again, without revealing too much, if you've had your fellow craft degree, then you proceed to your Master Mason degree in York Rite, traditionally Preston Webb type jurisdictions. The next sequel in the Marvel universe, I mean the Blue Lodge universe, York Rite universe, is the Mark Master degree, because you get more information. It's a little bit of a flashback episode.
Yeah,
go back to yeah, hopefully you all meet in the next dependent body. The quest for more money. Thank you, Robert, for sharing that meme. Right, and so this is this kind of goes back and gives a little more context as to how the Fellowcrafts labored in the quarry, how they were paid, what kind of how they set wages. So yeah, it is good additional light for those who are trying to build upon the legend that they received in the first 3 degrees.
Here's an idea. What if you received the degrees chronologically?
Oh, I would love that. I would actually love that. I know I don't. I understand Virginia does.
That's right. That is
So do you get your Mark Master degree then before you get your Master Mason degree?
no, that would be awesome though. so
That's what I mean. Like,
but to your point, I mean, we do in order. We do the Mark Master degree, the Past Master degree, the Select Master, Royal Master, Most Excellent Master, and then to the Royal Arch. Right. So for those who have different jurisdictions, you'll notice we mix cryptic degrees inside of our York Rite degrees. We put the chocolate and peanut butter together and made a Reese's cup. But we do it in the chronological order, which makes a lot more sense as to what's going on with the story, the rebuilding of the temple. And then we also have the Super Excellent Master as kind of an honorary degree that you can get later.
It's only honorary because we don't have enough people to ever confer it. I mean,
well, yeah, it's the same original.
Oh man, you guys are bummed. We get to do it every year.
That's cool.
Yeah. And most of our councils actually do it themselves every year.
It's pretty interesting actually. Like I don't like as I'm anti-establishment most of the time, and
really,
and so I don't like I don't love to give accolades to large organizations, but I will say, from what I heard this year at the Midwest Conference on Masonic Education, Ohio, like every tick around the box, seems to be making some massive impacts. So, like, I don't know, man, between Ohio this year and Nebraska kicking it up a notch, it seems like there's some amazing stuff going on with education and just the conferral of these degrees and like all around participation. Like you guys, I don't know, Masonry seems pretty damn healthy in Ohio too.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really surprise me that you guys would put on something like that every year.
Oh yeah, it's when I heard how rare you guys had it, I was like, wow, and then I was like, man, I'm gonna have to wait that long. But then I found out we have to actually be super excellent masters to go through, to get in line even. And then I was like, oh. Then I found out, no, they do it every year. I was actually right after I got my Royal and Select Masters, I was told, yeah, and next month we're gonna do the super excellent, and they did it right there in my council.
The bad news is you're going to need an additional degree. The good news is it's just over here for $5 more. You can come right on over and do it.
Yes, and when you're done, we've got an officer's chair right here waiting for you.
You already got your name on it. It's all warmed up.
Yeah,
you're gonna get some donuts handed to you by whoever's slinging them, and
cold coffee.
Now, I will admit this. I actually did end up getting through the SEM. I actually was made treasurer of my council. And not to, drag it out or anything, but due to mom's passing away and how that and dad's several months earlier, how it all affected me and combined, I ended up having to resign from that office. But and this year I just said, please no, let me get a little more time and I'll be back and we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's just putting that out there. But no, I love the Mark Master degree. It's I'm actually in it in my chapter. I actually am a master overseer. I actually do that for a couple of other chapters when they need it. And when RJ comes, actually, he's going to be forced to witness since he's with us, an outdoor Mark Master's degree, where I am actually the master overseer, and his other host is the junior overseer. So
Please tell me it's in a quarry.
I wish it's actually
Bring
it's
that
actually in
into
a
our
good
tent.
it's actually in a good wooded area up on a hill. So there's an area
I get some really lucky opportunities this year. I get to go to Ohio 2 times. I get to go out with you and Chris and hang out and see this degree, and then I am stoked for Camp Masonry too. So
yeah, I'm dying for that. Yeah. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that as well. I'm looking forward to seeing all that entails, including possibly some parts watching the one-day class that they'll do on Saturday. But we don't need to go into all the details on one-day classes. But no, the Mark is it's a good program. It's a good degree. You get to know, like I said, you get to know about the Keystone. I mean, that's a big plus. I mean, even what the letter and the and how to make your own mark. How to mark your.
How did we talk this long and didn't mention the actual
Yeah.
mark? So
Yeah.
what's interesting is because we've all gone through the Mark Mason degree, we actually have documented a mark, an artistic mark that is unique and wholly registered by our governing body, so that we've documented this is our Masonic signature, as it were, very much like the operative stonemasons used to mark their work and get paid. But we symbolically have our own physical, like we draw it out, mark that gets laid up with the records and archives of the lodge. So I think it's it is a neat thing that we get to do. I know some guys that get a chapter penny as a result. They can then they get it sent off and engraved. I'm one of those that it's like one day I'll get it engraved, and I never have. But yes, all of us have had our signature, our mark registered with our chapters. That's kind of neat.
Mine is actually out there and available to share too. I put it on our Google Drive, but I can pull mine up actually and share it. I know RJ was working on redoing.
I got mine ready to go here. So
go ahead. Yeah.
Share. So that's mine.
Well, there you go.
Yep. Traditionally just went with the straight lines, so it wasn't crazy. It's a runic letter M. Significance is mankind, and also is right on my arm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's part of all my kids' signatures. In the old language, magic with a K.
CK, yes. You said, Hammy, you have yours at the ready?
Let's see, where's that? I'm getting it in 1 second. It's just coming up.
That's all right. Yeah, we were kind of debating on whether or not to have these at the ready or not. So I'm going to try and quickly draw mine up.
It's interesting. So I think it was before Mike joined us here. I think it was just as part of a silly gift I sent you guys all, but I had ordered for the guys, everybody listening, I had ordered, 5 chess pieces, 5 knights, and on the bottom of each one had the marks, everybody's individual marks. I just redrew them. It was pretty fun. It also, I made mention of just those straight lines, but if you look at your mark books in lodges, what's interesting is very intricate and leafed like design work, and I'm just like, that's beautiful, but I'm pretty sure you can't just sign that on anything at any time. Oh, there you go, Mike.
Yeah. So there's mine. It's real simple. It's just an M on top of an H with the J coming out, which is really just all my initials. So, yeah. So that's how I did mine. I was trying to stick with that straight edge thing too. Just trying to, keep it. But obviously I curved it with the J. And once John gets his, I'm going to jump up here in a second and start digging. I've got a coin. Actually, you know what? I should probably just find the pictures of it. I have an old Mark Master Mark coin that has a very unique mark on it as well. Let's see if I can find those pictures because I know I was just looking at them. They're in my Google Photos, actually.
Now, while we're kind of bringing those up too, so we did talk a little bit about the Mark Mason's Hall in England, which still exists today.
Mm-hmm.
They have a website and everything that goes into that, which is interesting. Again, some of the differences between the way things are done in England, Wales, and here in the States is that not only does their Order of Mark Master Masons hall still exist, but they actually use that hall as the administrative office for 9 other degrees. Right, so you have things like Royal Arch Mariner, which is included in our Allied Masonic degrees. The Allied Masonic degrees himself is administered by that under that hall. The Knights Templar, Royal Select Master, Secret Monitor, Scarlet Cord, Knights of Malta, and the Red Cross of Constantine as well. So it's interesting. The structure, the organization, the pathway is a little bit different. If you wanted to go to some of the other degrees, they don't have the same prerequisites that we would have here in most jurisdictions in the United States. So if you want to get through one way, join a different lodge over in England to try to go about it that way. Let's see, Juan has one of his up.
Yeah, so I have my mark. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. It is pretty much a variation of my artist signature. And my artist signature is this, which is 1.
Very nice.
But I pretended that I did it with a straight chisel, so I kept my line straight. Chisel. It's a chisel, and I thought of Snoop Dogg for Rizzle.
For chisel for Rizzle. There's a new hashtag.
Juan, are you using a Wacom tablet?
I am.
Oh my god,
It's
you're my
like
friggin' hero.
It's like butter.
Oh, me want.
Oh yeah,
Love that.
I can tell you the model I got because it's not that expensive and it's just everything I needed.
Cha-ching. Let me know if you have Amazon affiliate sales in Florida because we don't have that in Illinois. So I'll just buy through and then maybe you get some cheddar.
Yeah.
Mike, what are you sharing there?
Okay, so here is the front side of the old Mark coin that I have, which is from if I could read the date better, I think it's either 1809 or 1890. I'm thinking more 1890, but in any case, this is the front side, and then this is what's left of the back side of that coin, and you can actually see some of the outline of the keystone there. But anyway, this is the guy's mark right here. And actually, if you look even down at the bottom there, there's the 1, the 8, and then I could, when I look at it carefully, I can actually see there's almost a 9 there. So, yeah. But that's my uncle gave me that when I joined. He was not a Mason, but he had found this when he was a coin collector, and he just never gave this up. He'd been offered all kinds of money for this coin and never gave it up. And then when I joined, he's like, "Here, you can have it and be its keeper now." So,
wouldn't it be interesting to just ask everybody out there, "Hey, look through your Mason books and find this mark. Let's see who it belongs to."
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
Watch, it turns out it's like,
George Washington's
Rockefeller.
not just kidding. Wrong years, but just kidding. Yeah.
I didn't know George Washington was a Mason.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I hear anyway.
I hate that.
You guys serious right now?
No, that's an interesting thing because I mean the marks aren't secret, right? We're
Mhm.
showing them, and there's a reason why. It's because it is individual, and there's no secret sauce to their design. We have meanings attached to it as part of the degrees, but it's really nothing that's a secret in masonry. So wouldn't it be neat to crowdsource some of these? Now I know I have seen on like archive.org, there has been a couple chapters that have scanned their whole marks on there. I gotta see if I can find it. But anyway, so they're out there, and some are very elaborate. Not straight edges, but and then looks like Juan has mine up because I was trying to keep all the IT going. This is an example of my mark that I just quickly sketched up. I try to use straight edges, and what I was showing was a network connection of two nodes, connected very much. I'm an engineer,
Nerd.
CAD like, but it was to show the connectedness of network and unity that we have in the fraternity, as well as in CAD drawings as well.
Clever
totally
girl.
cool.
Clever girl.
That's awesome, man.
So yeah, so there we go, and we'll see Jason's mark eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shared it in our private Facebook messenger, but that's definitely just for us. Just because we mentioned this earlier, here is the chess piece that RJ sent me,
Mhm.
and just like he said, it has my mark underneath.
Look at that. So if you want to think of a really cool gift, there you go. You could find your brother's mark in your chapter's lodge, and because it's all right there at the ready for the secretary to thumb through. That'd be a neat little gift that you could get that engraved on something or hand drawn on something.
Just Sharpie it. Just Sharpie it.
Or just to throw it back to our last episode, you can tattoo it on your chest and then surprise your brother with it. It's like, look what I did. And when you have his mark, you see, outside of the box.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm relatively certain
Okay.
somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, it's gonna, like scenes from Cable Guy.
Exactly.
Look what I did, Steven.
Okay. I knew you'd like it. Oh, that's so awkward. I love it.
But yeah, and I don't think that this next part really is sharing any major secret, because it was actually told me when I first found that coin. You could give that coin with your mark on it to a brother Mason as your promise to pay a loan if you could get it from them. Now I won't go into what you learn in Mark Master about that, but I was told that even before I joined the Royal Arch, that it was a good promise for that.
It would be interesting to see if somebody ever propositioned me that way, because of the rules associated with it. It's not like if you think about the way that's written, it's kind of messed up. Like it is like the best Ponzi scheme ever.
So for those not in the know, one of the bits of esoteric knowledge that you get are a protocol in which to reach out for assistance from your brothers, and it can again there are very specific rules to the protocol which have to be even just, if not anachronistic, at least they're somewhat symbolic, because there's really no practical way, to Robert's point, that this can be done
True.
unless you're always prepared. But brother,
It's kind of odd fellowy.
yeah, it's unique.
Yeah.
So, but it's one of the little it's one of the little facts and tidbits that we pick up along the way of our journey that makes this whole system,
Work.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, if you really want to be in the know, go spend the $7.80 or whatever they're charging these days.
Mhm. Oh, it's not in here.
Totally
Oh, well.
worth it.
All right, so we've seen some marks. We've learned about the jurisdictional differences, how it's set up, how it's organized and administrated, and then how it's even done across the pond, as they say. Is there anything else that we want to bring to light? Because we've kind of hit it from lots of different facets. Anything about the symbology that we can talk about or want to talk about, or do we want to start bringing it home?
I think just as a symbolic aspect, as the Holy Royal Arch degree is like this capstone degree, and I would have to say that, um, so like the the KT degrees are undoubtedly special for the Christian Mason, but I think Royal Arch degree for, I'm going to use air quotes because I don't want to offend anybody, but the mystical Christian probably appreciates that seventh degree um, even more, because of the mysticism contained within it, the symbolism that may not be directly attributed to the degree itself, and even if it is applied to afterward as a new allegory per se, it fits so wonderfully. And the mark degree, you can begin to look at that degree as in a certain light that leads into the same kind of mystical thought process that happens in that seventh degree, with a stone, a keystone that you're making a mark on. Um, it's really kind of a neat concept, and I just think it's really special for a lot of people. So it was always interesting to me because I was given the fourth degree, which is our mark degree, and then immediately after you get a fifth degree, which is the past master degree, sometimes called virtual past master degree, and then after that, our sixth degree and our seventh degree are on two separate nights. And when we're given that fourth degree, they tell us like, okay, so you're gonna get a degree tonight, and you got to come up with a mark. And by the way, you got to record that mark before you receive your Holy Royal Arch degree. So we have lots of time to come up with it, but I can't tell you how many times like we'll do the Royal Arch degree, and then somebody will say, "Oh, did you ever record your mark?" And the guy will be like, "No, I never even thought about it." And it's a total bummer because I stewed on it for probably weeks.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
I was excited to do it.
yeah, I don't know. It's one degree in masonry that I think um, it offers you something more than I'm a mark master mason. It offers you this unique ability to like sign your name or put your mark on something you've created. Like maybe you turn wood or pens, or maybe you build, real buildings, and like maybe you're a real bricklayer, and maybe, when nobody's looking, you tick, 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 you put it in there or whatever. Like, I think that's cool. A friend of mine, Spencer, who's a luthier, he is not anything other than a master mason. But you bet your bottom dollar his initials go on the inside of the violins that he makes, and you can only see him when you put a mirror in there and you shine a light a certain way. It's so cool. But like that idea is just neat. And yeah, like if you get a chance to do a Mark Master Lodge or whatever, maybe you're not into the Royal Arch and you just want to do Mark Master, just do it. It's pretty cool. Um, but like if you do have Royal Arch in your area that offers Mark Master degree, then in my opinion, I would just do the Royal Arch. And if you're in Virginia, then sweet, because you get all of it for the price of one.
That's right.
I gotta write 2 dues checks. Checks, man. Checks. Who uses checks anymore?
Unfortunately, most of masonry, yes.
Check, checks and faxes. I'm starting a group right now. Checks and faxes. Listen.
No, I can't send you a check, Juan. Why? Because it's 2019.
Because time passed.
How about I Venmo you my dues?
That for me some Bitcoin on the way.
Listen, just getting Lodges to do PayPal is
Yes.
it's a jump to the future. But like that violin mark is one of the coolest things. But it makes me think of 2 things. Number one, those operative masons, they would keep their marks within an area, a conspicuous area that is not going to interfere with the purpose of the building or its design or its aesthetic, none of that. So I love the fact that that brother you mentioned does that. The other thing it reminds me of is Disney. I was a Disney artist for some time. I was a scenic artist, so I would be working on murals and their attractions and doing paintings and that sort of stuff. And as an independent artist, you want to leave your mark. It is an almost uncontainable desire to actually put your mark on the work. But this is the mouse's work. It's not your work. So you have to, if you're going to leave your mark somehow, it has to be impossible to detect. But I thought there was a neat harken back to me trying to write my mark without the.
That's awesome. But you did use your signature or you used your mark?
Oh no, I wasn't a
Yeah, wow.
I wasn't a mark master at the time. Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah.
Well, but that brings up another question: have you guys used your mark anywhere to mark your work, non-Masonically?
Well, technically,
Not
mine so
yet.
close.
Technically, no. Actually, I have. I remember not long after getting my mark, I was working on a group presentation, and it was one of these presentations, PowerPoint presentation that was going to be passed around through lots of hands and everything, lots of graphics, lots of people involved, and part of me was worried that someone's going to take credit for my work, which is a perfect use of a watermark or a signature or some sort of identifying factor. And so what I did was, in the series of graphics I put together that I was pretty proud of, I had drawn my mark and then put another graphic in front of it. Right, so it was purely hidden behind another object, and you wouldn't be able to see it unless you ungroup the objects and move something aside. If you hit print, you never would see it because it was only be the thing in front that would be printed. But I had that, so if I could say later on that, hey, you stole that slide from me, they could say, well, no, I didn't. I said, well, let's just ungroup that and move that away and see what's behind there. And so that was I did put my mark there. So somewhere in the ether back at work, there is my mark, everlasting. So that's kind of a good story, and I might have to do that again. That was fun. Okay, so it's about that time. We should start bringing it home. Let's go around to Robert for his shameless plugs and final thoughts.
Final thought is, if you get a chance again, go take that Mark Master degree. Really fun, really cool. Also, if a guy's getting his Mark Master degree and you're already a Mark Master, it's kind of a really cool thing to, just like in Blue Lodge Masonry, to like show up and be there and witness. We are not one and done after you get done with Masonry, right? You got to see the degrees over and over again to impart the special things that are taken in and the lessons conveyed. And even though the degrees themselves, we take small pieces of them and we pull the red thread and then we explode them into a new rite. So we could say, oh, the attributes of this one degree, can be expounded over these X number of extra degrees, like Lodge of Perfection per se. And the idea is to go and to see those, to constantly be reminded of them, to learn what they have to offer. As Juan pointed out earlier, there's so much in Masonry that, he said, masonry is a lifetime of study. Does this one degree also have enough on its own to merit its own singular existence? I mean, I don't know, but I think again, you can study anything you want to exhaustion. Look at Manly P. Hall, or gee whiz, just about any esoteric author. Wait, all right, don't forget I said wait.
George Oliver.
Yeah, I mean, the point is, this is additional education, and I think it's worth something. Um, Anybody who knows me knows that I say Freemasonry is education, flat out. I don't subscribe to it in any other way or form. So to go and to learn is that opportunity, and it truly is an opportunity, because the second that somebody says, "Hey, come to my Mark degree," or "Hey, you should join the Mark Master," and somebody says like, "Oh man, I don't want to have to get off the couch or do this thing," like you think about it as like a chore or whatever, but we got to change that mindset. This is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to go, to help, to serve, and really, it's that old Jewish rabbi clip on YouTube, right, where the guy talks. He's a rabbi talking about the lobster being uncomfortable as he grows out of the shell, right? So to be uncomfortable is to grow. So get yourself a little uncomfortable and go out and check out the degree. If you like education, check out Wentz KMU. 9:30 Sunday nights, and Monday, Tuesday, I'll be in Atlanta, Georgia. Monday night, I'll be doing a chapter night. And then Tuesday night, I'll be at Gate City Lodge doing another presentation there. And so the word on the first night, which is apropos for Royal Arch Masonry. And then I come home on Wednesday. I work Thursday, and then Friday I'm coming to Columbus, and I'm going to Lakeshore Lodge, and we're going to check out some stuff with Mike and Chris, and we're going to party hard, Mason style. So I don't have a fez yet, so I'm not going to party that hard, but it's going to be good. So I love you guys. Thanks for watching this episode, and really appreciate it. And Joe, thanks for spending $1 or $2 or whatever you did to tell me to smile. So cheese.
If that's all.
Joe's probably the only one who knows, like, literally, I have pneumonia right now, so it's pretty rad. But anyway, super cool. I'm getting better. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Robert. Mike, off to you.
Okay. So one thing I thought of here for the very end of all this is, we know that the official date of the Mark Master degree is in 1769, but they don't really know when it actually originated. But there is what's that?
It's the first recorded date.
Right. But there is record that there was a conference of operative Masons held in Holyrood Palace in Edinburgh, Scotland, on December 28th, 1598, at which time it was declared that no master or fellow of the craft is to be received or admitted except in the presence of 6 masters and 2 entered apprentices, the warden of the lodge being one of the 6, the date thereof being orderly booked, and his name and mark inserted into said book. So it goes back at least that far that they had, something with the way they were doing the marks. So, but yeah, it'll be great when RJ comes May 31st. He'll be here at Lakeshore Lodge 307 in Madison, Ohio. It's a more light night for us in Ohio. If you want to come, PM me through Facebook. I'll set the reservation for you for dinner at 6. And the presentation is at 7. If you're just coming to the presentation, don't worry about a reservation. But if you want to come for dinner, we need that reservation. And then Saturday morning, we're going to be at a Royal Arch outdoor Mark Master Mason's degree put on by the 20th District. I believe we have at least 5 candidates. I'm not positive on that, but I think it's at least 5, which probably constitutes a class. So in any case, if you're interested in coming to that, PM me on Facebook and I'll get you the details. In any case, thank you very much for watching, and have a good night.
All righty. Juan, over to you.
All right. So it was fun to learn a little bit more about how other brothers get to experience the Mark Master degree and make it an integral part of the way that they spend their time in Masonry. I would love to, see how how it all develops and how it actually how the whole labor is when you go to one of these lodges. And I would imagine some of you brothers listening might be thinking of this from the American Masonry context. You're trying to imagine it as you've experienced Masonry, but remember that Masonry is very different as you travel around the world and through different states. So it might be a completely different experience. So I look forward to an opportunity to sitting in one of these lodges one day. Um, Thank you to all the brothers that have followed this program. Um, it is important to us that you listen to us and you watch, not just because we want to see numbers ticking up in our statistics. We want to make sure that the work that we put is reaching out brothers that can really benefit from it. Please keep in mind, if you've enjoyed any part of this program, keep in mind that there might be brothers out there who might not be able to travel to lodge, might not be able to have a good Masonic education program in their lodge, and they could really derive a great pleasure and benefit from listening to these conversations. And we hear, of course, from a lot of brothers whenever we travel that they find the Masonic Roundtable to be a useful part of their Masonic journey. So just do us a favor, please, and share this with another brother that could benefit from that as well. And finally, my shameless plug: if you like Masonic podcasts after you listen to the Masonic Roundtable and Whence Came You, I invite you to go check out The Winding Stairs. And there's an announcement, bro. Bro, listen to me. Listen to me. The Winding Stair got something on wraps. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and
Stay
be
tuned.
among the first. Good night, brothers.
Nice. Thank you, Juan. Yeah, so this has been very fun. Learned a lot, and it's great. I always enjoy hearing the cross jurisdictional differences. Do want to give a shout out to Joe Martinez, Everything Masonic, and Art Monk for the super chats tonight, support the show. You guys are awesome and on fire. And I also want to remind all of you to make sure you never leave home without your chapter penny. So with that, I want to thank you all very much for watching and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.